This presentation is about action research, the teacher as a researcher. I'm Mayada Zaki, and I'm discussing action research and how the teacher can be not just an applier of knowledge, but a generator of knowledge and a changer of the world. So, what is action research? Action research is a process of systematic inquiry into a self-identified teaching or learning problem to better understand its complex dynamics and to develop strategies geared towards the problem's improvement. So the purpose of action research is to ask questions about your teaching, your performance, your students' learning, the context, the institution, and try to develop and find strategies to solve your problems, to improve the educational process. So teachers are not only appliers of knowledge in this case, but knowledge generators as well. So why use action research? In order to find solutions for your professional development as a teacher and for improving your practice and for making a change to your institution, to your school, to the area, to education in general. So while doing your research, you have to consider the following ethical practice. First, the ethics of hope is the hope of making the school a better place for students. Second, the ethics of caring, which is the interest in the welfare of teachers and students. And finally, openness. Make it clear to school members in order that you're doing research, so that they can support you, they can collaborate with you and help you on your research. So don't create insiders and outsiders. How can you start? First of all, you can write some statements. Start brainstorming by writing, for example, I want to get better at my teaching. If I do what? I'm not sure why my students do not engage in discussions. How can we make staff meetings more productive? I wonder if we apply this in practice in our school. And then this is just a statement to begin with and to start brainstorming ideas. So, how to develop a research question? And the most important part in action research, or the first step, is to develop a research question. So first you reflect on your daily situations. What did happen? Why did it happen? How can it be changed? What should be done next? And you can keep a journal for 1 week or 2 weeks, and at the end of each day write for 10 minutes. Write about everything you face, the challenges, the practice, the environment. And then write a paragraph about why it's important to discuss this issue, the rationale for your question, and then reflect on this. So you can write sentence stems in your journal, like, one thing I'd like to change is, my practice could be improved by, the students need, I need to learn how to, and then start writing more about your problem. Then, after you finish writing, brainstorm issues of concern and interest relating to your educational context. And start thinking about all what you've written and start grouping your items. You will find yourself, for example, writing about vocabulary acquisition, about interaction, about reading strategies, writing strategies, grammar, fluency, for example, if you're teaching English. And you can group some items like vocabulary acquisition related to interaction and reading strategies. And then you can compile all the constructs together in one question, like how interaction can influence vocabulary acquisition in reading classes, for example. So action research is a cycle. First, you identify an issue and develop a research question. Then you learn more about your issue through reading previous literature, and then develop a strategy for your study, then gather and analyze your data, and finally taking action through finding solutions, sharing your recommendation and pedagogical implications. So, is this all? No. Action research is a process. You study and plan, you take action, you collect and analyze evidence, then you reflect on your recommendations and solutions, and start practicing them, and then study and plan them, take action, collect and analyze data, and reflect on them, so on and so forth. So this is the steps of the process, again in detail, is to first write a good question, reflect on it, and then read literature, consult your colleagues, talk to experts, which is collecting information, and then plan action and how you're gonna do the experiment, how you're gonna find group support, and how you're gonna take action, how you're gonna analyze your data, gather data, and then analyze it, what kind of results, and then you start publishing it amongst your group, school, maybe in journals, and amongst more educators to read. And then how can you collect good data? You found the question. So how can we collect good data? Match data sources to a research question. Try to use more than one source of collecting data, and this is called triangulation. Triangulation is to use three sources of data, like for example using a questionnaire, an interview, and students' assignments, for example. And we'll discuss the different methods of collecting data in the next slide. Keep a data log that includes the date and time, everything about the classroom and the context, maybe you recorded the class in, all the information you might need later while analyzing your data. Organize your data around themes, key issues, or topics. So what are the methods of collecting data? You can collect data through samples of student works, essays, worksheets, oral presentations, and then lesson plans, portfolios, activity reports, diagnostic assessment, attendance records, pre-test, and then you do your activities or experiment, and then a post-test or standardized test scores if you're measuring the development of your students' proficiency level and fluency. So you have different methods to use. Class observation checklists, and you need to have this pre-prepared before class with the main points you need to observe so that you can check them quickly in your class observation. Interviews, you can have interviews with the parents, with the other teachers, with adult students maybe. So, and interviews have structured, semi-structured, and unstructured forms. Structured forms, when you have clearly defined questions, you don't allow the participant to divert from your main topic, main points you want to discuss. Unstructured is to allow is to start the conversation and allow the participant to say what they want. Semi-structured is to have questions, and at the same time you allow the interviewee to add more points and to speak freely, and this will widen your perspective in your study, will help you find more ideas that you didn't maybe plan for that are important for your results. And questionnaires, which is one of the easiest methods to use. You can add closed questions like MCQ questions, a you agree or disagree rating 1 to 5, and they are very easy in the analysis. Open questions are a little bit more difficult because they need coding. However, they widen your perspective and they allow the participants to add more points to your results. So how to analyze collected data then? After you gathered your data, you need to gather them in a clear, readable form. So if they are oral presentations, for example, you need to transcript them very clearly and accurately. Write transcripts very clearly and accurately for them, and categorize them maybe. Sort the data according to the research questions. So for example, if you have questionnaire and you're asking about the effect of an activity on students' feelings, how they express their ideas and their fluency, then you need to group your questions under fluency. Those questions were asking about feelings, those questions who are asking about attitude. So you group that are asking about attitude, so you group your questions. Create analytic files and code the data in case of transcripts. Encoding data is really not difficult, and you can find software now available that can help you code and count the codes for you, code your data and count the codes. So, like for example, let's see a sample of coded data here, where the researcher coded nominal clauses as NOM capital, and then the software counts the number of the codes in the whole in the documents, so, or in the total, over the total number of utterances in the transcript. So this is one easy way of coding. And then finally, after finding results, you report your research by writing first an introduction, introducing your research question, its importance, the context, and then review of previous research that investigated the same topic, and then methodology, and everything about the context is important in your research. You write it in detail. What are the methods used to gather data? What is the nature of your students? What was the context, the curriculum? Everything about the system relevant to your experiment or your class activity. So methodology should be written in detail. And then results and conclusions, where you write your results and how you analyze them. And then finally, implications and recommendations, where you write pedagogical implications and recommend suggestions for further research. And finally, I wish all teachers the best in applying and conducting their new action research. Thank you.